McCloskey. Luke Weirman, a first-team All-American who had a chance to tie the game at the end of regulation of the championship last year. He will take the first face-off for Maryland. Angelo Petrakis, 70% in this NCAA tournament for Cornell. Weirman punches it ahead. Fires on goal. Reminiscent of the way last year's championship game ended. Temperatures at game time in the mid-80s, expected to go into the high 80s as Gavin Adler, 77 in red, a first-team All-American defenseman, vacuums that ground ball.
Weirman's impact is large on this game. On paper, he could win maybe 75% of the draws. They'll get transition opportunities. And then you see Adler, an absolute vacuum cleaner on the defensive end, 77 in red.
C.J. Kirst eliminated his big brother Colin in the semis. Colin, the goalie for Rutgers. Hugh Kelleher, a hat trick in the semis. Big Huey, number 27 in red. Cornell led by its attack. John Piatelli, 5 goals in the semis. Needs one more to break the school's single-season goals record. Michael Long, picked up by Ajax Zapatello. Long gets inside. Shot bothered. Shovel not there. Shot clock down to 3. Down to 2. And we get a shot clock violation on Cornell. The Maryland bench juiced. No Roman Puglisi defensively on that first possession for Maryland. He's a first-team All-American short stick D-Midi. One of 12 All-Americans for Maryland. Injured his wrist in the semis, but Clark, we expect to see him today.
Yeah, he has it heavily taped. I saw him in warm-ups, though. I think the struggle for Roman won't be so much defending Cornell's midfielders. He's a threat in transition with that heavily wrapped right wrist. I do not see him shooting. That's one of his pieces to his secret sauce.
That shot high off Jonathan Donville's stick. The former Cornell captain. One of a handful of impact transfers for John Tillman's Terps. Cornell closest to the ball when it went out on a shot, so they get possession. Both teams settling in. Hot day. Saturday was wonky with the weather pushing both games back. You wonder, Q, about fatigue.
Absolutely. Maryland wants pace and tempo in this game. They think they're the more athletic and deeper roster. Bob Benson telling us that yesterday when we met with him.
Cornell last won a championship in 1977. They've lost 4 times in the title game since. Second midfield now for Cornell. No opening. Alex Holmes on the invert. Against Jake Higgins. Bounces this one wide. It'll stay with Cornell. 18 to shoot. C.J. Kirst probing on that wing against Brett Makar, 43 and white, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Piatelli against Rahill. Skip pass picked off by McNaney. Now the outlet. Maryland in transition. This is Puglisi. We mentioned the wrist. Had some trouble with that ball. And it may have cost Maryland a chance in transition, Clark.
Anish, that's big. Roman Puglisi is a righty. Because of the taped bottom right hand, he was playing defense on that last possession with his left hand, and he tried clearing the ball and handling the rock with his left hand. So he is completely going off script in terms of his normal comfort zone.
X-rays on that wrist were negative. His ability to cross-check or punch offensive players at the point of attack seriously compromised.
Keegan Kahn, the Villanova transfer, a hat trick in the semis. Backing down, Jack follows. Kahn plays it back up top. Now it's Owen Murphy. He's had a big postseason. Murphy's got a rocket of a shot. And the backup belongs to Jack Brennan, the junior. Brennan dumps it off to Eric Molliver. Out of Atlanta, Georgia. Logan Wisnowski's one and white. The Tewaaraton favorite. Pass goes awry. In the crease, Cornell ball. Five minutes in, no score. Cornell has turned it over on its first two possessions in Q. Where's the matchup that Cornell likes offensively?
I like John Piatelli, 41 in red, from the right wing, isolating against Matt Rahill, 7 from the Terps.
C.J. Kirst offline, the backup to Michael Long.
Kirst is a high-volume lefty shooter, a first-year player, Ivy League Rookie of the Year, a dynamic, powerful, and explosive dodger from the wing.
He had 7 goals in the first-round win against Ohio State. Here's Kelleher. He's got a big righty hammer. Now Matt Licciardi, a little jitterbug. Ajax Zapatello all over Michael Long. Long looking for that question mark dodge. And the backup belongs to McNaney. Zapatello has been an eraser, not just in this tournament, but all season long.
It's a 1-2 punch for the Terps defense. Zapatello from Portland, Oregon. Makar from Yorktown High School.
Anthony DeMeo looks to work out of an ambush, finding the Northwest Passage.
It's a great start for Cornell. That's a great start. I mean, Maryland's the type of team that they've been dusting people early and often, creating separation right away.
In goal for the Big Red, Chase Erlin, better than 60% in this tournament. Donville, the Cornell transfer, gives it up. And we get a whistle against Maryland.
Another crease violation after he gave it up. Sloppy turnovers, some errant passes from the Terps.
Now, John Tillman told us yesterday the historical narrative surrounding this team is one that he has tried to shield from his players. They don't talk about it. But recently they watched the Tom Brady series, Man in the Arena. They talked about that Giants-Patriots game. New England was going to be an all-time team. They're not, because they lost that last game that matters the most.
They don't talk about it, but they hear it. In this day and age with social media, the noise is more than ever for these athletes. They know what is at stake.
Look at the Maryland short sticks. Higgins, great defense and a recovery by Holmes. Shot clock will reset to 60.
And the longer this game stays within range for Cornell, that burden of pressure, the burden of those expectations shifts heavily on Maryland.
Burst from the high wing against Makar. All the way, no angle. And it sneaks through! C.J. Kirst gets the Big Red on the board first.
They think he's a lefty. You watch him on tape. Beginning, middle stages of the season. As his mom, Michelle, looks on. The phenom, the Ivy League Rookie of the Year, dare him to go right. He will make you pay. 15 in red, has been on fire.
1976, the bicentennial year. Cornell and Maryland were two unbeaten teams headed into Championship Monday. One of the all-time great games. It went to overtime. Cornell outscored Maryland 4-1 in OT. Different rules back then to complete an undefeated campaign.
Eamon McEnany finding Mike French, who finished with 7 goals. That game was played in front of 12,000 at Brown and televised on ABC Wide World of Sports. Richie Moran takes home his 2nd title And that combo, that French McEnany combo, legendary, iconic.
One of the great 1-2 punches of all time. Maryland owns the all-time series 15-3, but in the tournament, it's 3-3, and that's where Cornell's 3 wins have come. A face-off violation against Petrakis. 3 face-off violations and a half. And the other team goes man up.
See if Maryland can settle down and find some rhythm on offense. The DNA, what has made this group so successful this season, people movement and ball movement. It's amoeba-like. It's constant. It's unpredictable.
Kyle Long down the alley, circles back to X. Clark, we brought it up during the semifinal win for Maryland against Princeton. That was not their best effort.
It wasn't. I thought Logan McNaney, the goalie, bailed him out a bunch. Offensively, he didn't see the ball movement at the hyper speed we're accustomed to throughout the season.
Wisnowski's had the matchup. Shot clock will reset. Keegan Kahn, the backup. The shot clock resets on any shot on goal. It's got to hit the pipe or the goalie or go in. Owen Murphy turned away by Irwin. Chase Irwin looks strong early. Now Cornell will clear. Kyle Smith up ahead to C.J. Kirst. Kirst, left hand free, fires. McNaney saved it, can't find it. Now clamps down. Logan McNaney in this NCAA tournament. 71%. 60% is considered elite for a goalie. Nine minutes gone by. Maryland still without a goal. Bolivar around the bend. Goliath on line.
He needed this one after giving up a soft goal. And then he gets some help with the rebound control.
Look at the move by Jack Brennan in terms of the patience to see a drifting Eric Maliver. That's what the Terps do so well. They'll lull you to sleep at X, and then they drift an attackman to ball side. And the low angle shooting ability of Maliver and Quentin Anish. This is an offense, Anish, you mentioned, so unpredictable. You don't know who your star is going to be, and it doesn't matter. The wealth is spread out.
10-plus goal scorers in 10 games this season. That and the ability to go on monstrous goal scoring and runs. They've had a 5-goal run in 13 of 17 games.
It's not just a jab or a cross. They hit you with a series of haymakers. And that's why that last face-off win by Cornell was so huge.
Don Busick told us, ground balls in the middle of the field really set the tone for everything else in this game.
Good look here. McNaney eats it up. Now Maryland in transition. They want to run. Higgins against Kelleher. Driven out of bounds. The defense by Kelleher.
Oh, he was a standout high school linebacker, like his head coach. Too big, too strong, too fast. He takes the angle and runs him out of bounds.
He's a beast. You look at his stature. We saw him in the hotel yesterday. He gets a head of steam like here. Good luck pushing this guy out.
From the wing, McNaney the save. 3 saves now for Logan McNaney, the junior from Corning, New York, the glass town. McNaney all the way to midfield. He scored a goal against Ohio State last year. And Maryland keeps that in bounds. No, they did not. Turnover. Uncharacteristically sloppy for the Terps. Short turnaround. Now the ride. Cornell has to get it across the midfield line before that shot clock hits 60. Matt Ricciardi touches up.
Cornell's season, a little bit up and down, 14-4, playing their best ball game. I thought they played their game of the year on Saturday, and it's all grounded and a super strong sense of identity that comes from their culture that Coach Moran established 50 years ago.
They started 10-1, lost 3 of 4 entering the NCAA tournament. Save McNaney on a shot from Coyle.
Terrific body stop, the way McNaney moves his feet. He takes that one off the right shoulder.
The challenge for teams playing Maryland, you can do so many things right. Then you run into a hot goalie. That's almost a cheat code.
Cornell's getting better looks right now in this game than Maryland is.
Remember what Cornell did to Rutgers in the semis. 37 shots, 30 on goal. Maryland puts this one on cage and scores. Anthony DeMeo, the lone holdover from that 2017 Terrapin title team.
They attack you in all phases. They don't let you rest. They don't let you get set up.
That is vintage give and go by a 6-year senior, knowing he's getting the rock back from another 6-year senior. It's all the little instinctual things with one in white, Logan Wisnauskas, and a player like Anthony DeMeo. They've seen it all. They can lull defense to sleep, and they share the rock.
The assist for Wisnauskas gives him 100 points on the season. Now Weirman dumps it back to the wing, and Murphy. When Weirman wins faceoffs, Maryland can play make it, take it, and that's that avalanche that we've seen so many times this season. Weirman still out there. Now he'll run off.
He's got a capable handle, but on a hot day like today, I prefer to see Luke jogging off to the sidelines.
Keegan Kahn over to Kyle Long. John Tillman felt he'll have some matchups today that he can win. Skip pass. And a rocket by DeMeo. That's 2 in a row. And it's 3-1 Terps.
We talk about smarts and IQ. Look what Anthony DeMeo does here. You saw him score in the give and go. This time he uses the defense as a screen. He is known as a step-down lefty shooter who can hammer it. He's undersized, but his wrists and his hip torque in rotation is off the charts. Look at the defense stretching out. Uses him as a screen. Erlin, no shot, Quinn.
DeMeo, the 5th year, redshirted on that title team in 2017. And you're starting to see Maryland's passing offense come to life. All 3 goals assisted. It is egoless offense. The eyes are always up. They're always working for the best shot, not the first available.
Mark Silos will take this faceoff for Cornell. He tries to muck it up and wins it for the Big Red. Maryland had scored 3 goals in 3:14. Hurst was looking for Michael Long. Zappitello said, don't think about it. Logan McNaney, 19 saves, a career high in the semis. He was sensational in the semis last year as well against Duke. 17 out of 21. Bubba Fairman knocks that one away from Kelleher. Fairman played his best game of the season on Saturday. 4 caused turnovers and a goal. Lichardi's shot turned away. There's McNaney. He's been giving up rebounds, which is something to watch. Cornell practices a lot.
Yeah,
on scooping up those rebounds. Flag down.
Well, this game is physical. Maryland's coming off an extremely physical contest in the semis against Princeton. But Kelleher tries to take Fairman's head off here, and he'll have some time in the penalty box.
Red 27, 1 minute cross check.
All the elements that make this sport so much fun to play. The stick work, the shooting, the dodging, the running, and then you got the body contact.
Maryland in the semis, 3 for 3 with the extra man against Princeton. .47% on the season. DeMeo to Wisnauskas. The Tewaaraton favorite. That's the Heisman of lacrosse. Wisnauskas feeding inside, back to the wing, shot, score! A first quarter hat trick for DeMeo. He scored 3 in a row for the Terps.
Logan McNaney, the junior, so patient, the late move, nice rebound control. You sell out for every ground ball on Memorial Day. It means everything.
You talk about hot potato. Wisnauskas inside to Maltz. 1 more, 2 more. Untouchable offense when you don't care about who gets the tally. But it's DeMeo now with the 3rd goal of the first quarter. And you talk about the maturation of Wisnauskas. He came as a lefty shooter. Now he has 40-plus assists on the season, 100 points for the year.
And a hat trick now in 5 of his last 6 games. 101 career goals now for DeMeo. A minute to go in quarter number 1. Maryland started slow. They're picking up steam. It's like the old Hemingway line on bankruptcy. It happens gradually, then suddenly. And for Cornell now, can they stunt and stem this 4-goal blitz by the Terps?
If you're a young player at home, focus on Maryland's passing. Everything's right up on the money and thrown in the crisp fashion.
All 4 goals assisted. They assist on more than 11 goals per game. Tops in the country by a wide margin. Keegan Kahn, inside roll, hands free, shot saved by Erwin. And we get interference. Six seconds to go in the quarter. And Orlovsky Hail Mary downfield.
Incomplete.
Was waiting for it. Quarter number 1 in the books. Slow and steady, right? The Turtle got off to a bit of a sluggish start, then they picked it up. Tony time. Anthony
It's Hartford, Maryland up 4-1 in the national title game. Down here on the field, Chris Cotter alongside Paul Carcaterra. Maryland started tight. Cornell scored first. How did the Terps break out of it?
Ball movement. They went back to who they are from a DNA perspective, sharing the ball. All 4 goals are assisted. How about Anthony DeMeo? He's got 3 of them. The give and go and the instincts to back cut the defender. And then he finds his sweet spot. This is where DeMeo is so dangerous. The ball moves, it's a skip. He uses the defender as a screen, and then once again, that high lefty wing. You give it to 16 and White, turn and rake.
A first quarter hat trick for the 6th-year senior DeMeo out of San Diego, California.
Gentlemen, down.
Petrakis and Weirman at the X. Weirman's won 4 out of 6. Petrakis, that's this one for Cornell.
Angelo's ramped this game up late in the season. A little jumpy early in the year. Tended to violate, and man, he has settled down. Young man was an outstanding high school wrestler from Massapequa, Long Island.
Kark, you wonder how the year off hurt a guy like Petrakis. He looked like one of the best young face-off men in the country in 2020.
He did, and he had to deal with rule changes and then time off, but you look at his progression throughout the season. I mean, he's been on a tear. In terms of what he's done in the playoffs, he's completely found his groove compared to the regular season.
Here comes Billy Coyle. This Cornell attack has been shackled for the most part. Kelleher shot an easy save for McNaney. That's 7 now. Cornell 1 of 12.
You nailed it, Anish. Easy save. Maryland's doing a nice job of keeping Cornell on the perimeter or severe angle shots where the goal is not the full 6x6. McNaney's doing the rest.
DeMeo, he's got 3 already. That one turned away by Erlin. Shot clock reset. Molliver had the other Maryland goal. He's got a matchup on Dom Doria, number 19. Doria normally guards the off-ball guy. Maryland really doesn't have one of those, so Doria will have to defend today. Kyle Long on the invert. Had the left hand free and follows. Will win this race for Cornell. 14 in red. Quint has become a game changer since re-entering the lineup late in the season for the Big Red.
Sophomore from Ontario in the Hill Academy. Hurt his wrist early, but he's a special talent between his stick and his intelligence. I think he's a future star, and he's a great cover two wingman for Gavin Adler, 77 in red.
It looked like Cornell may have been offsides. Goes back to Maryland in transition. It's Probilski. The Terps came into this game averaging almost 2 goals a contest from non-offensive players. And Owen Probilski, the Villanova transfer, makes it 5-1.
You turn that ball over in the middle of the field. Maryland's the best restart team that I have ever seen. They transition quickly with an offensive-minded rope unit. Probilski flies down the middle and converts.
Here's the issue. Depth. They can run 3 long stick middies at you. They can run 4 short stick D middies. Probilski has shown his ability to find spots in big games, and he isn't even their go-to guy.
Ball on the ground. It comes back to Weirman. Petrakis had it won. And Maryland can go quickly again. Weirman's a threat to score. He's got 8 goals this year. Wisnauskas, only 1 assist today.
Situational awareness is a major storyline for Maryland, and the way they play this game.
Offensive coordinator Bobby Benson has put together an offense that you can set to Moonlight Sonata. Off the turnover. Let's see if Cornell pushes. Bazzi. Freshman short stick D midi. Back to Chardy. Matched up on Puglisi. Gives it up. Now Billy Coyle. He's quick. Beats his man. Picked up by Makar.
Piatelli, 41 in red's got to be a factor.
Here comes Kirst against Makar! And C.J. Kirst wins the matchup. And Cornell puts an end to a 5-0 Maryland run.
We showed you Bob Benson's reaction to this sloppy Maryland turnover. A good double team off the pick game.
When you get into the body of Brett Makar, it's not a smart idea. C.J. Kirst realizes that the change in direction and the ability to roll back to his strong left side, shoot out of that dodge, and on a lefty goalie, look at the placement. That's incredible.
You think about the time in the backyard. You think about the time you put in before and after practice. When you script those moves as his mom and grandfather watch, he is a huge rising star. Ivy League newcomer of the year.
Their family drama took center stage in the semifinals. CJ going up against brother Colin. Brother Connor played at Rutgers last year. Cole played at Lehigh. Will go to Syracuse next year. And they've got a younger brother, Caden, a young high school goalie who we hear has a chance to be pretty good.
That poor kid. Right, when you're the youngest and you're a goalie, that poor kid.
Hey, you know that story well, don't you?
I do. My youngest brother, Brian, but CJ is so competitive.
That one hits the pipe. Kirst almost had a hat trick.
Guys, you remember we were talking to Connor Busick yesterday. He said between Gavin Adler on the defensive end and C.J. Kirst, the battles in practice are insane.
Adler's a first-team All-American defenseman. Alex Holmes plays it back to Long. Got a great look. He dropped it. Instead, it's Geppert. Higgins Roombas it off the ground. On a bounce to Geppert. He's got 8 career goals. And he'll pull back. Puglisi can't pick it up. That wrist clearly bothering him today. And that's going to be a shot clock violation. You can go over and back, but you have to have it in the attacking end before that shot clock hits 60, and that's 6 turnovers now for Maryland.
I'm going to be honest with you, Roman Puglisi is the best short stick D-midi in the country. Because of that wrist injury, I would attack him and test his strength.
McNaney save on the shot by Kirst. Now the Mangonel pass. And Fairman holds up.
They need a possession here. And maybe even a timeout, because their defense is a little gassed. Their defensive midfielders, Geppert in particular with Puglisi, it was up and down, up and down.
Now you called it. John Tillman thinking right along with you. He calls a timeout. We'll take 1-2. 5-2 Maryland. 9:47 to go in this opening half. Michelle Kirst with the red striped shirt and the sunglasses, the mother of the 5 Kirst brothers, and their family's story has taken center stage in this NCAA tournament. Dad Kyle passed away in 2015 when the boys were all high school age or younger. Mom Michelle, we've seen her travel and try to find the right flights to make sure she can get from site to site when 2 of her sons were playing in this NCAA tournament. But that family has had a lot to celebrate this weekend, even though Rutgers lost yesterday and Colin Kirst had his college career come to an end.
The dad, Kyle Kirst, was a former Rutgers goalie in the 90s, and then he coached for 20 years in New Jersey. There's grandpops. And the sport of lacrosse, as you look at CJ's grandfather, the sport of lacrosse and their brotherhood, their ability to move on in their lives and stay on a great path. I mean, the brother Colin's got a degree from Lehigh. He's got a graduate degree from Rutgers. CJ's putting himself in position. Credit to the mom and the rest.
Off the timeout. Here comes Maryland, a 5-2 lead. Oliver against Cornell's top shorty, Bardwell. Oh, Gavin Adler, 77 in red, guarding the ball right now. Normally he's an eraser, but it's different with the way Maryland works on offense. This one will stay with the Terps. Last touch on Singer.
Maryland plays team offense. It's unit-based offense. It's not matchup-oriented. They force defenses to switch and change matchups with their uses of picks and rapid ball movement.
Oliver against the shorty one more time. Looking to feed Kahn on the other side. Instead it comes to Dom Doria.
Yeah, nice job by Erwin to get a stick up in that passing lane. It's a big stop for Cornell off the timeout.
Doria, a terrific off-ball defender. 4-year starter for Cornell. The Rangers forced a Game 7. We'll have it for you tonight from PNC Arena, 8 Eastern on ESPN and the app. The Hurricanes in this area, the artist formerly known as the Hartford Whalers. Pick up a Whalers cap at the airport.
Let's go Rangers. Heck no.
Little brass bonanza. John Piatelli has yet to shoot for Cornell. 65 goals. Tied for the single season school record. Now Kelleher. Offhand, too high.
He's figuring it out. You watch 27 in red. He is going to be a handful the next few years. Slow start of the season. Then you had the Aiden Blake injury. He had to assume a bigger leadership role. But when you watch him physically, he's an outlier.
Work in progress. And under Connor Busick, who was a similarly built midfielder, Kelleher couldn't be in a better spot.
Connor Busick telling us he saw Kelleher in high school and would say, hey, Huey, go play defense. He'd go cause a turnover. Come to the sideline, throw up. hey, Huey, go score a goal as we get a shot clock violation. They'd run out of the box, score a goal, and they said, we loved his motor. And Busick said, I couldn't take my eyes off of him.
It's crazy. Quint, you mentioned him as a linebacker. As a running back, he averaged over 12 yards a pop in high school.
And there were a lot of yards after contact. You can guarantee that.
Kids.
All 5 of Maryland's goals have been assisted. Owen Murphy, the Hopkins transfer, lost it. Doria picks it up.
For Maryland standards, this has been turnover city.
It has. 8 turnovers now.
Short rest, fatigue. You had the lightning delay on Saturday. You've got the weight of the world on this team.
Puglisi back in there for Maryland, 8 in white. Playing with that injured wrist. And Kark, you said, your Cornell attack him. They're going after him here.
They should. He has no strength in terms of pushing the offensive opposition out. I also think in transition, handling the ball. Look, Roman Puglisi is as tough as they come. You could argue the toughest player in the program along with Brett Makar. He's playing because this is his last game of his career. If this was a regular season game, there's no shot he'd be playing in this game.
Long. Donville looking to score against his former team. It's Cornell ball. Q, if you use the prize fight analogy for Cornell, and you can keep this close and get into the 4th quarter, pressure gets much higher on Maryland, and we talked about it in the semifinals. How many real 4-quarter games has Maryland had this season?
Take the Terps into deep water and see if they can swim.
Kelleher down the alley. McNaney another stop. 9 saves. He's 9 out of 11. Alex Smith, 39 in white, coming off a torn ACL. His dad, DeMaurice Smith, head of the NFLPA. There's DeMaurice Smith.
Fired up. He was fired up after the semifinal game. Great to see him here. You think about when you have a son like Alex, like when it starts, when you're a peewee, whether it's football, lacrosse.
DeMayo! Tony time in full effect. He's got 4 goals, and he's had a hand in the last 5 Maryland tallies.
Terp Nation loving it. DeMayo was a little quiet in the semifinals. McNaney's locked in. Cornell's shot selection has been shady.
Here's the problem. If you start pressing out on 16 in white, the inside opens up. Pick your poison. If you're Cornell's defense, the issue is, though, you are dealing with a sharpshooter. DeMayo has 4.
San Diego, California. Coronado High School. He's 25. He's the oldest Terp.
He's only 3 years younger than Cornell's head coach.
He has caught fire late in the season, the last 5 games. He's now surpassed 100 career goals and played in dozens and dozens of monstrously big games.
NCAA Women's College World Series coverage starts Thursday. The action begins at noon Eastern on ESPN. Visit NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Congratulations to the North Carolina women. What a scene at Homewood Field yesterday for the Women's Championship. BC-UNC. The Tar Heels completing an undefeated season. Maryland looking to do it today on the men's side.
Congratulate a sellout crowd at Homewood Field in Baltimore for a scene that I've never seen before in women's lacrosse. Congratulations to all the athletes, both programs, for elevating the women's game to where it should be. First time they were ever televised right here on ESPN, and man, that game lived up to all of the hype.
Maryland a season ago, they were undefeated going into the championship last year. did not have an answer for Connor Schellenberger and Matt Moore. Virginia built up a sizable fourth quarter lead. Maryland rallied to get it to within one. This was the final play. Luke Weirman won the faceoff. His shot hit Alex Rode in the chest, and Weirman telling us the other day that stayed with him for a long time. The ending to that game has been the prologue to this all-time season.
John Tillman back in the championship. His 7th title appearance.
The only black mark on his resume, Memorial Day. 1-5 in championship games, the win in 2017 against Ohio State.
Was just in the offensive huddle for Cornell. The issue with those shot clock violations, the players don't hear anything. So the staff's asking the bench to get into action. You saw that crowd at Homewood Field in the women's national championship game was a huge factor. It's loud here on the field.
Surprised Cornell hasn't gone to more picking, more two-man games to try to win or change some matchups.
It's in their DNA. Here's Kirst. He's got both Cornell goals. That one off the crossbar. Big ground ball. And it comes to Maryland and Higgins.
That was the first-time grounder that Cornell needed.
This could be a chance. Unsettled for Maryland. And Moliver says, no, let's hold up. Jake Higgins, one of 3 defensive midfielders for Maryland, drafted by the Premier Lacrosse League. Six draft picks in all on this Terrapin team. Murphy slips, follows, stays with him. Murphy serpents around the cage. Question mark, bounce shot. Race to the sideline. Cornell ball. Closest to the ball when it goes out. Awarded possession on a shot, and we get a timeout. .305 to go in this opening half. You've got a Maryland team looking to become the first undefeated champion since Virginia in 2006. Q, a big part of this team's offensive DNA is their ability to spin the ball, pass with precision. Every goal has been assisted.
There's no I in team. It's egoless offense. Move it on to your teammate. Throw a frozen rope on the mark, the give and go. DeMayo has had the hot hand in terms of shooting, but you see that crisp and snappy passing, ball movement that creates openings and puts defenses in difficult situations. They have to start rotating and they can't keep up when the Terps start slinging it.
Well, they're sharing the rock on the Maryland offense. The inability for Cornell to get the nation's leading scorer, John Piatelli, involved. He had 5 against Rutgers on Saturday. He's been limited, and credit Rahill, 7 and White, for doing a tremendous job off the ball. But I was just in the huddle. Connor Busick, the head coach who runs this offense, it's all about spacing. The better spacing, the more seams Piatelli will find in the opposition's defense. He's an off-ball wizard. And when the spacing isn't correct, his touches are limited, Quint.
Our next 30 for 30 film is titled The Greatest Mixtape Ever. Tuesday, 8 Eastern on ESPN. It's the story of how VHS tapes, remember them? A DJ and streetball players transformed the culture of basketball in the 1990s. Q still watches movies on VHS.
I've been watching a lot of the 30 for 30s on my phone lately.
Oh, you've upgraded
via air.
On the iPhone 3?
No, but then I pop. Come on, guys! I pop it on AirPlay at home. It's the app's the greatest thing ever.
That's going to be great for
especially if you're a
fans.
lacrosse fan. I mean, if you're a lacrosse fan, like the app is. It's hard for me to believe. Been doing this for so long. Like how many games now are available for fans?
You get college lacrosse, you get the NLL And starting this summer, starting next week, the PLL.
Can Cornell win a matchup on the perimeter? Can they change a matchup using a pick? Can Piatelli be a factor?
Everyone outside of Kirst, a combined 0 for 11 shooting. Here comes Coyle, he's quick. There's Kirst. Licciardi, shot altered, way too high. Geppert got in the way. Long has not had success against Zappatello. There's the pick game. Zappatello matching feet. He's got to give it up. Now Kelleher. Help coming. Shot clock under 20. Kirst, a lefty. Wheeled to the right. And that one skips wide from Coyle. Less than 2 minutes to go in the half. 10 on the shot clock. And again, Geppert getting into the hands of the shooter.
And there's the balance you're seeing from Maryland. Maybe a little heavy in the turnover department today, but the defense is digging in.
Bubba Fairman, a 4-year starter on the offensive midfield, moving to the defensive side this year. Had a goal and 4 caused turnovers in the semis, and was a top 12 pick in the PLL draft. Kyle Long accelerates down the alley. Skip pass, shot, score. That's Logan Wisnauskas. He is Groot.
Look how they move everyone around as Connor Busick is concerned for the right reason. DeMayo's a lefty who lives on the left wing. So is Wisnauskas. Look at the placement in terms of where he sets his feet, Quint.
Long is just too fast from the wing, and the defense gets condensed. They show and slough in, and Kyle Long is able to deliver a strike, which allows Wisnauskas to catch in rhythm, to set his feet, and to paint a corner. Maybe the greatest left-handed shooter in Maryland history, over 200 career goals. He's competitive, he's tough, and he's kept improving.
204 career goals, now tied for 4th all-time. The #1 pick in the PLL draft. Maryland's all-time points leader. 4-time All-American, Big Ten Player of the Year. You can exhaust all the superlatives.
And a senior with crazy lacrosse IQ. That is what makes this Maryland team impossible to defend. Yeah. Not only do they share the ball, they move guys everywhere. Logan isn't on the right wing shooting lefty most of the time, but it doesn't matter. Pieces to a puzzle that are interchangeable is what makes this offense impossible to stop.
Karkin and Kyle Long knew exactly how the defense would react and where the opening would be. He was looking to the backside pipe first, and then he looked far side.
Long has 3 helpers. John Tillman told us he would have matchups in this game. He's exploited them so far. 25 seconds to go in the half. DeMayo wants a clear out. 4 goals in this first half for the 6th-year senior out of San Diego. He's got the short stick. Skip pass. Murphy, step down, too high. Ten seconds. Save Erlin. A trebuchet downfield. McNaney is there. Half #1 comes to an end. Cornell fired the opening salvo. 5 unanswered then from Maryland. Kirst another goal. 2 more by the Terps as we go down to Paul.
Coach Anthony DeMayo with the 4 goals from the high wing, and then Logan on that last goal. Why are you seeing those high wing opportunities?
Well, we're dodging the wing. They're pushing out a little bit at X, so we told the guys you might have some opportunities inside or through if they're going to put that guy behind. So when you get a guy behind there, you're going to give up something.
Okay.
If you keep him in front, you can get a little extra help to the Dodger.
Defensively, Logan McNaney does have 9 saves. What concerns you about their offense?
We're just, right now, we're not all on the same page all the time. Kids are playing hard. I love our game plan. They have really good players. Just at times, we weren't exactly in sync, and I think Logan's bailed us out. I'm confident our guys will come back out, do a better job in the second half. Just can't ask Logan to make that many saves all the time. They're just too good a team.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
At the half, 7-2, Maryland on top of Cornell. Coming up at the half, a couple of Pauls will join me. Paul Rabel, Paul Carcaterra will break down the first half. Look forward to the second half. Oh, we might talk a little PLL beginning their season in a week as well. That's all coming up at the half. Again, halftime score. Maryland up 7-2 over Cornell.
Into the third quarter of this national championship, the Terps looking for their 4th championship in program history. In that first half, Maryland's goalie continues to be sublime. Logan McNaney, 10 saves in the opening 30 minutes. He had 19, a career high in the semifinals. Maryland's offense, at times sloppy with turnovers, but when they've been in their rhythm, spinning the ball like we're used to seeing, it's been surgical.
Yeah, 7 goals at halftime is actually subpar for Maryland. They average 18+ goals per game. So Cornell's doing okay, quite honestly, defensively. What Maryland's had great success is Kyle Long, wing dodge. Cornell is pressing the man behind the goal, and so what Long then is lobbing it over the top for some easy looks on the backside. If you're kind of Busick, you got to come up with solutions on offense. How can you A, win a matchup? How can you B, change a matchup? So I'm expecting the Cornell maybe to get the ball behind the goal more in some invert situations and use 2-man games behind the goal. They're shooting 2 for 22.
Kyle Long has been the catalyst, 3 assists in that first half.
Terp head coach John Tillman, we met with him yesterday. I said, Coach, give me the vibe. What player do you think can be a standout in this game? He thought it over for about half a second and said, Kyle Long. Said, I like that matchup. He's got the speed advantage. He's been drawing slides, dodging with a purpose with his eyes up. He knows exactly how Cornell defense is playing it. If they're pressing out at X, he looks to the weak side. He looks across the formation, and he has delivered strikes.
Cornell won the faceoff battle in that first half, 6-5. Maryland came in as the #2 faceoff team in the country. Cornell, number 47. And the Terps control the opening draw of the third quarter. They've got a 7-2 lead. And when Luke Weirman is on, which has been pretty much all season, it makes it really hard to come back against this Terrapin team.
Looks like Cornell, they've stayed in their man-to-man scheme all game. Looks like they're putting Adler on Long to start the second half.
Terps have so many weapons, so many guys who can beat you. There's Jonathan Donville, the former Cornell captain, transferred to Maryland for the journalism school. And a turnover for the Terps on their first possession. Cornell in that first half, 2 for 22 shooting. And this attack, which produced 12 goals and 15 points in the semis. 2 C.J. Kirst goals, that's really been it. Michael Long has not been able to win a matchup against Ajax Zapatello, and John Piatelli has hardly touched the ball.
If you looked at a Cornell shot chart right now, everything would be from the fringes, from the wings.
Here comes Kelleher, out of steam. Good look here, but McNaney is there. That was Piatelli.
Again, it's not in the paint. It's not in the dirt in the middle of the field where the grass is worn down.
11 saves for McNaney, and if Maryland wins, he's got a great chance of being most outstanding player of championship weekend. And looking at the great tradition of goalies at Maryland, just under John Tillman, Nico Amato, Kyle Bernlord.
Dan Morris has got the ring.
And you go back even further in the history of this program, there have been some absolute stalwarts in the cage. Moliver over to Wisnauskas, who stings the corner.
Terps execute just such a gorgeous set pattern here. Wisnauskas in the middle of your screen. Watch how the picks open things up. Maltz cuts, and he loops around him. Catches the defense napping.
What a shot, what a change of levels. You're talking about the all-time greats. In cage for Maryland, whether it's Jim Beardmore in '87, Brian Doherty in 1995, no one is stopping that heat.
All 8 goals for Maryland assisted. Wehrman wins this one. The Terps 2 for 2 in this second half. And this is when they can just drive downhill on you. Bubba Fairman, a 4-year starter on that first midfield. Might be a shorty now. He can stay on. Now he'll run off with Dalton.
Terps dangerous in the sub portion here.
DeMeo to Donville, thought about it. Back to DeMeo, lefty laser, save Erlin. DeMeo picks up the dead ball near the sideline. Wisnauskas head of steam, that's a sweet spot. Instead feeds inside, and it's Donville. The former Cornell captain who told John Tillman his head was spinning when he found out the Terps would play his old team for a national championship.
What hands, what finishing ability. The #1 pick in the professional indoor league, Jonathan Donville. What's new? The Terps are sharing the ball. All 9 goals, all assisted. Everyone eats, including Donville.
Cornell sent the extra defender to DeMeo to try to dislodge the ball. They didn't get there. You pay the price. Maryland had numbers.
2 goals in a span of 42 seconds. Clark told you Donville, the top pick in the NLL draft, a 2nd-round pick in the PLL draft. High school hockey player. Here's Wehrman. Nobody picks him up. Shoots high. Kahn's got the backup. And now if you're Cornell, and this is the pivot point of the ball game.
It may have pivoted already.
It may have.
Depth of scoring for Maryland. The ability to go on runs. 5-goal run in 13 of 17 games. They've tied together like a 2-goal run right off a Wehrman face-off win. 12 times this year.
That one hit the official. Adler scoops it up. Chris Davis, the D-Midi out of Essex Junction, Vermont. Cornell, one of 6 teams out of the Ivy League to make this NCAA tournament. 2 got the championship weekend. Princeton along with the Big Red. The Ivy did not have a season last year. Pretty much everybody else played, not the Ivy. 2020 was cut short when the league was the best league in college lacrosse. And when you factor in, Clark, the exodus, not just of talent, but generational talent. Guys transferring so they could play somewhere else. It's remarkable what this league has been able to do.
It tells you about the chemistry, the buy-in from every player, every parent, but also the player development from these coaches, including Connor Busick. You look at the league has tremendous coaches that know how to develop, that know how to game plan. And what they've done with that year off, to have 6 teams in the NCAA tournament is just mind-boggling.
They came back with a focus and a fury. They dominated non-conference play. I agree with you, Paul, and the coaches, but the student athletes. And our time around these teams late in the season, I've been blown away by the quality of the young men that we've met from Princeton, from Yale, from Cornell.
Guys writing thesis papers on topics that we can't even spell. Spencer Wertheim. Oh, that one hit the crossbar. Billy Coyle. Kirst gets it back for Cornell. Fresh shot clock. They'll reset it to 80. And they may change this to 60. It only resets to 80 if it was established that Maryland had possession. And that's the right call. Had Maryland possessed the ball and Cornell took it back, it's a full reset to 80. But the attacking team was able to regain possession before Maryland did, so the shot clock only resets to 60. Here comes Spencer Wertheim, just outside the Syracuse area. Kelleher had it checked away by Fairman. And Bubba Fairman quicker to the ground ball.
Fairman's putting on a show this weekend. He is going out with class and style, and his bench loves it.
Energy, juice plays by Bubba Fairman. When he was picked by the Cannons, the 11th pick, and they traded up to get him, I'm going to be honest, I questioned it. After watching this weekend, I look stupid.
It's not the first time.
Won't be the last either. Here comes Donville. Wisnauskas, Maryland's all-time leading scorer. DeMeo dumps it back to Donville. He's got the short stick, Bozzi. Senior on freshman. Skip pass, shot blocked. Cornell will have it.
They'll keep scrapping. They'll keep scrapping for their head man, Connor Busick. It's what they do at Cornell. You turn on the film all season long, they hunt ground balls, and they play hard. It's who they are.
Kark, I thought that was one of the biggest separating factors between Cornell and Rutgers on Saturday.
Oh, they own the physicality battle in between the lines. The 50-50 ground balls as Logan makes another save. When you think of the hard hat mentality, 21 and George Bayardi, what this program's been through and the inspiration where they draw all the juice and all the conviction, this program has always given 110% in terms of blue-collar mentality, chasing for every last ball on the field.
You mentioned George Boyardi. You see his number 21 everywhere around the program. Here comes Brennan, saved by Erling. They remember Boyardi, Q, as the ultimate teammate.
He was a real-life person. I remember watching him play. So much of the culture of Cornell stems from Richie Moran. The legend of George Boyardi. I'm not sure there's been a culture, Kark, that has really stayed the same and as tight and as knitted together as Cornell has for the last 50 years.
It's incredible. When you think about what Cornell has, that fraternity feel. Look, you went to Johns Hopkins, I went to Syracuse. We're proud alums. But I will say, from the outside looking in, no program, tradition-wise, breaks the barrier of generational gaps. Guys in the 60s and 70s know players in the 90s and the 2000s. That's unheard of. And they know each other well, and they help each other, and they believe in one another, and that's why this program is different.
And for those that don't know the Boyardi story, he was killed during a game when a ball struck his chest. It was a game against Binghamton. DeMeo invites Bartolano, runs by him. Missed the cage. 6 minutes to go in the third. Logan Wisnauskas against Doria. Plays it back to X. It's off the cross of Keegan Kahn. Shot clock down to 10. Donville. Kyle Long got a good look. Momentum taking him in the other direction. It will stay with Maryland at the shot clock at 4. Maryland getting its defensive personnel ready. Wisnauskas rolls it into the corner. Cornell has gone 21 minutes since its last goal. CJ Kirst has the 2 tallies for the Big Red. He's 2 of 7 shooting. The rest of the team 0 for 22. Turnover in the middle of the field. Unsettled for Maryland. Ball hits the ground. Moliver can't pick it up. The double well timed. And the Big Red get it back. Rangers Hurricanes. Game 7 tonight in Raleigh. 8 Eastern on ESPN and the app. Eastern Conference semifinals. Aiden Blake, 2 in red. He missed 10 games with an injury. He was Cornell's top midi before getting hurt. Returned on Saturday in the semifinal win against Rutgers. And there's Blake right on the doorstep. Aiden Blake with his first goal since the 26th of March against Penn.
Terps had some transition. And Cornell not ready to wave the red flag. 2-man game on the wing. Defense has to rotate ball side. Too easy for Blake. Piatelli picks up his first point. Big Red down by 6.
9-3 Maryland on top of Cornell. This championship game matchup takes us back to the first NCAA championship game in 1971. That's film, folks.
That's the Zapruder film at Hofstra. 5,500 fans on the old school turf. Bob Rule, Cornell goalie, was out. Bob Heumann had 22 saves. Alan Rimmer, 6 goals in the Canadian. 12-6. Cornell wins the first NCAA championship. Prior to that, they voted on who won the title.
Q, you've read it already. It's on my summer reading list. Christian Sweezy has a great book coming out about Cornell in the 1970s and their run under Richie Moran. Well worth reading, well worth picking up if you're a lacrosse fan.
I loved it. We Showed Baltimore by Christian Sweezy. That game in particular, the NBC affiliate televised it back to Baltimore. It was the convergence of the end of the wooden stick era and the beginning of the plastic stick era, and also fell in line with the monstrous growth of lacrosse on Long Island. There were 20 players, 12 from Maryland, 8 from Cornell, Long Island natives who played in that game. And you think about 50 years later, the geographical diversity that we see on the field now.
Even the equipment Kark in that 71 game, most of the Cornell players used a wooden stick.
Yeah, the plastic stick completely changed the technology, the sport, and the capability of the players. But you watch some of the stick work and ball movements back in those days. It's incredible, man. The ball rarely stayed in a player's stick. It was one pass after another, almost like an old school Maryland type approach where everyone is involved.
Cornell looking to cut into this 6-goal deficit. This vaunted Big Red attack, 3 for 30 shooting today. They were 17 of 37, or 12 for 37 on Saturday.
You talk about the explosion of the game, that last ground ball. Sandy, Utah, Bubba Fairman. We saw players like Ross Scott from Rutgers, from the state of Oregon. Ajax Zapatello, 36 in white. He's from Oregon as well. He's an All-American. The sport has changed drastically since those days in that vintage video you guys just showed.
Kyle Long, he'll fire. Erwin turns it away. Ouch!
Yikes.
Ice bath.
He's a hockey goalie. Chase Erwin. Victor, New York. Real hot spot. He's done a great job, Erwin, of turning his season around. A little bit up and down. Had a streak there where he was less than 50%. Last 3 games, he's been nearly 65%. A big reason why the Big Red are playing on Memorial Day. Here he is, the righty. Look at his good setup. Oh!
Whoa! His brother TD, one of the great face-off men of all time. Inside roll. It's knocked away. The Maryland defense swarming. And just to clean up that last statistic, I'm going to throw Russ DeLin under the bus. Those shooting stats, those were team stats. Cornell 3 for 30 today. They were 17 out of 37 on Saturday. Geppert, fire save, Erlin. He's keeping Cornell in this game. DeMeo rides it back. And we get a whistle. A timeout by John Tillman. 1:12 to go in this third quarter. DeMeo gets up slowly. 4 goals and an assist today. Our next 30 for 30 film, the greatest mixtape ever. Tuesday, 8 Eastern on ESPN. The story of how VHS tapes, a DJ, and street ball players transformed the culture of basketball in the 1990s. Cornell scored 17 in the semis. They had 15 in round 1. In the regular season finale, 18. They can score. Not today. Why?
Well, matchups on the perimeter, guys like Ajax Zapatello and Brett Makar winning their battles. Then the team concepts, they're adaptable, they're flexible, they support, they slide, rotate, and recover. All 5 chess pieces moving together. Logan McNaney has been outstanding in this tournament, whether it's stopping the ball, getting ground balls, throwing outlet passes. They're dialed in. And then what really stands out to me about this team, the defensive midfielders. Seldom have we seen a team with 4 quality D-mids. Bubba Fairman, Roman Puglisi, Alex Smith, and Jake Higgins. We've seen teams with 1 or 2 stars, but as a foursome, this is the best that I can remember watching in the last 3 decades.
100% Q. Those are your lockdown corners. Teams attack those short stick D-middies like corners on an island in one-on-one coverage. When you have top-level players like that and you have depth at that position, it's house money for John Tillman. I was just in the defensive huddle for Maryland, and I heard Brett Makar scream to his offense, help us out, help us out. He knows these guys are playing a lot of defense, and their technical approach and the way they play their angles is near flawless when you think of Makar and Zapatello. But Cornell is possessing the ball. He wants his offense to kill some clock so they can catch a breath.
Makar, 43 in white, the emotional heartbeat of this Maryland team, along with Roman Puglisi. And this defense doesn't get talked about enough. As good as this offense has been, what Jesse Bernhardt has done with this defensive unit, what they did in the quarters against Virginia, taking out Connor Schellenberger and Matt Moore, 2 of the best offensive players in the game right now. Final minute, quarter number 3. Jonathan Donville against Davis. About a 14-second differential between game clock and shot clock. Donville inverting. Doesn't get top side. Instead plays it back up top. There's Donville again. Still probing. Good look. Long. One more from the wing. And that shot was partially blocked off the cross of DeMeo. Shot clock at 5.
Great passing. Great passing.
Here comes Kahn. Shot clock at 2. He'll dump it away.
Talk about the passing field level. Sitting next to Chris Cotter, and we're shaking our heads. Our heads are dizzy. The ball, it's not even a cradle half the time with these guys. They don't even catch cradle and look. The instincts are nuts.
Final seconds, quarter number 3. Well-timed hit by Zapatello. And time expires. It looked like Cornell might get a look. Might take some momentum into the final quarter. Enter Ajax Zapatello, the sophomore out of Portland, Oregon, the second-team All-American.
Watch McNaney, aggressive in the goal, come out here. Makes the hit, and then the swarm arrives.
The Maryland Terrapins 15 minutes away from an undefeated season and a national championship, and a chance to go down as one of the greatest teams in the history of Division I lacrosse.
9-3 as we head to the final stanza here in East Hartford. Chris Cotter, Paul Carcaterra on the field. So much talk about where this team stands in the overall pantheon of great teams. If they win today, they're 18-0. They're 1 quarter away. Where do they stand in your mind?
For me, the 1990 Syracuse team's the best of all time. They had Gary and Paul Gate, the Canadian twins, stylistically changed the game forever. They inspired the Powell brothers, who inspired the Thompsons, and every boy and girl now that plays the game watches a different brand of lacrosse, right? Because of the Gates and because of players like Charlotte North. Stylistically, they're just different. That team had this. But Maryland, I think, is the hardest team to game plan for, because you can't just shut one player down. Although Logan Wisnauskas is their star statistically, and he might win the Tewaaraton Trophy, they can actually win without him, which is actually crazy to think about. They're the #1 team in the country for assisted goals. The ball moves like I've never seen it in almost 40 years of lacrosse. So game planning, if you stop the Gates, you had a chance. Good luck stopping them. But how do you stop this team?
An HQ, 1 quarter away from making history, guys.
Quint, you played against those Gate brother teams.
We held them to 18, Anish.
You held them. That was under their average,
which
right?
was pretty good. Now, if you're holding a draft, let's pool this Maryland team with the 1990 Syracuse team. Let's put them in a bunch and let's do a draft, Clark. Gary Gate, Paul Gate, Tom Marichek, and Pat McCabe would probably go 1 through 4.
I would agree.
And then you would trade picks back and forth.
Michael Long says, hang on. Cornell's not going down without a fight. It's 9-4.
That's what they needed. More of their attack, who combined for 15 points in Saturday's win against Rutgers. Today, the Terps vacuum sealed them. Michael Long is their quarterback, who operates from behind the cage. This time, he's not the facilitator. He's the closer.
They're not going to raise the red flag. Front swing, catches Zappatello napping, and finally Cornell takes a shot from the middle of the field, from the paint, from the dirt area in front of the goal, where the goal is the full 6 feet by 6 feet.
But Weirman wins the next faceoff. Then he lost it. This is a huge ground ball. And like that, Maryland zaps the Cornell momentum. Quint, your freshman year, 1987, you faced, as a freshman goalie, an undefeated Cornell team in the national championship. You guys won that game. Where did that game turn for Johns Hopkins in '87? Because you were telling me you guys were big underdogs. Cornell had just beaten the Gate brothers.
It didn't turn until about 2 minutes to go in the game, when Craig Bouvier scored the game-winning goal. I'll tell you one thing about that Cornell team, and any undefeated team in May, there's a certain confidence and a certain toughness. Like, you don't take down an undefeated team so late in the season without an incredible fight. Like, there's resolve there. This Maryland team, my question mark before the tournament was, like, they haven't been in a close game. Like, how you take them to deep waters, can they swim? Well, what's shown up in this tournament has been defense. The defense against Vermont, the defense against Virginia, the defense against Princeton.
And Clark, those are 3 teams that are among the best offensively.
Exactly, Anish. And when you think of this Maryland team offensively, it's the patterns, it's the movement, with guys like Logan Wisnauskas. And to put a bow on things, Quint, with the Syracuse conversation, you would trade picks after the top 4, but players 10 through 20, I think, are going to be all Maryland.
Well, Cornell says, don't count us out just yet. Big defensive stop. Down 5, 12 plus to go. Still plenty of time. They're going to have to win faceoffs, which has been a challenge all season, but Petrakis is playing better. We're also getting into the latter half of this game. Will fatigue be a factor? Remember, Maryland played in the late game on Saturday. A couple of their key guys banged up.
Next goal mentality. Momentum can swing quickly.
Hurst against Makar. Gets past Puglisi. Probing. Feeding inside. Nothing there. McNaney springs out of the cage. There's the Cornell ride. So effective against Rutgers.
Nice job by McNaney. Unbelievable. Skirting away from 2 attackmen.
And Makar jogs it across.
We watched McNaney do that exact drill on Friday in practice against head coach John Tillman.
Daniel Maltz, 37 in white. When you talk to Maryland and the incredible wealth of riches they have, Maltz was a 40-goal scorer on attack last year. He's a backup now, the 4th attackman. Murphy with a rocket, and the backup to Keegan Kahn.
How about his release? 55 in white, Owen Murphy. Looks like Ryan Brown, who plays for the PLL Water Dogs, the Johns Hopkins All-American. The smoothness in the release with both hands.
Big cross turnover, Kark. This Cornell team scrapping and fighting. It's in their mitochondria. Nine caused turnovers now for Cornell. Hugh Kelleher's been quiet today. Licciardi, his shot knocked down. Rahill's got it. We are starting to see different offensive patterns, though, from Cornell. Maryland has to get it across midfield before the shot clock hits 60. Errant pass. Wisnauskas, the ground ball. And Murphy retreats.
Wisnauskas, his play between the lines has improved dramatically. Much more fit. And we walked by him Friday at practice. You could just see he's changed his body for the good.
Went from 215 to 195. Hasn't had a sweet, he said, since Christmas. I said since Christmas. He said yes with conviction. He doesn't say a lot. Like, you talk to the players, it's hard to get him to speak, but he has completely dedicated himself for this very moment.
Another turnover. Here comes Adler. Accelerates into the box. Adler all the way. Fires! This is going to be big. It'll stay with Cornell. The hustle by Davis. And a timeout. John Tillman calls for time. 17 turnovers for the Terrapins. The door still ajar. The fake SVP, that's the real one. Big Maryland fan, big Maryland alum. He talks to the lacrosse team all the time. John Tillman said he would pop on with some Zooms from time to time. Cornell right now is hanging, Kark, and their defense is giving them a chance here.
They're hanging, and Maryland is fading. Luke Weirman was gassed, had a cold rag around his neck, massage gun working. Bubba Fairman right now, the same thing on the sideline. They're gassed. Can they hit the finish line?
Cornell will finish. Adler, 77 in red. He's a pit bull. He's got will and desire. He's got skill. He crowds you, gets in your space. That would have been major juice. And juice goes a long way when you start cramping up.
Bubba Fairman on the sidelines. Roman Puglisi playing hurt. Maryland had enviable depth at the D-midi position. It's been tested this weekend. Piatelli without a goal today. The nation's leader in goals. Here comes Coyle. Now Piatelli from the wing against Makar.
Cornell's clearly got some hop in their step.
They've gotten some good looks here, Kark.
I think their patterns and their spacing is much improved since the first half. You saw the slide rotation for Maryland was really short in first half play. This time they're spread out, finding skip lanes.
Here's a chance. Kelleher, the step down.
There's the skip lane cue.
That's a great call, Kark. It's exactly what happens. Wing dodge, double team by Maryland, and now Maryland tries to recover. The cut drags more white jerseys towards the ball. Kelleher's sitting on the far side of the field, waving his stick like, I'm here, and the big man shows some range. Grip it and rip it.
And Weirman's at the dot. He's always found a way to win big draws. He's the nation's top face-off man. Can he close it out for Maryland? Moments ago, he was on the sideline. He had a cold, icy rag on him. The massage gun working for this moment to win the critical draws.
Weirman, the first team All-American, wins the big one. Over to Wisnauskas, he dropped it. Oh, that was almost a surefire goal for Maryland. Adler had to go off his stick. Trying to tiptoe that end line. Adler off the ground. And Cornell with another chance. They're on a 3-0 run. Less than 8 minutes to go in regulation.
Momentum has shifted. Their fans are on their feet. Great body language on their bench.
The narrative has shifted too.
These games go sideways every now and then, Anish.
With the step and the score! Hit him with the Heim. Spencer Wertheim has Cornell within 3.
Hold on from the coronation. Maryland sloppy with the ball. A great ground ball by Doria. Adler makes the wrong turn, but the Terps can't scoop it. He gets a second chance. And he finds Erlen.
Veins, Q. Adler always finds a way to get that huge ground ball. Billy Coyle leads Cornell in points from the midfield. A poor approach by a gassed Bubba Fairman. Coyle goes underneath.
It's a 4-0 run for Cornell. Remember, Maryland is out of timeouts. Can the Terps get to the finish line and put the capper on an all-time season? Or can Cornell complete a comeback for the ages?
Nobody has made Maryland play the full 60. Maybe Notre Dame, a 2-goal game, but they had the lead late. Deep waters right now. Let's find out what Maryland's made of.
And very few have counterpunched Maryland like this. Long with a bouncer that hops wide. There's still plenty of time. Almost 7 minutes. Murphy against Bardwell. Circles the cage. Murphy doesn't get it. Erlen to dive. Cornell winning the hustle points. Faster to every ground ball right now. Four unanswered for Cornell. A second win here in the fourth quarter. They were down 9-3 when this quarter began. We look to be on the verge of a 15-minute coronation. There's Wertheim, he had the last one. Now Kelleher lowers that shoulder, stays with it. Kirst against the shorty Smith, gives it up. An opening and a save by McNaney. That's the last piece of the puzzle that you still have to solve if you're Cornell. Dangerous pass, got to get it across. Failure to advance. Smith could not get it across before that shot clock hit 60. 19 turnovers for Maryland.
Maryland looks like they're hitting a wall physically.
No timeouts for Maryland. They're turning it over. They've missed the last 13 shots. Cornell scored 4 straight. Stutter step. Coyle fires. McNaney denies. 35 saves on championship weekend for Logan McNaney. And this has been a challenge now, getting it across. Tired legs. Rahill pedals across the equator near the sidelines. Got to give it up. And Maryland able to recover and a chance to catch its breath. Hang on. Offsides, Maryland. Quick restart for Cornell. Trail check coming. It was Geppert. And the cause to turnover by the Terps.
It's too loud in between the boxes. I'm right next to Cornell. They're shouting at C.J. Kirst, behind, behind, behind. The crowd noise from the Cornell faithful that time didn't allow Kirst to hear it.
Cornell was in a 10-man ride. Maryland tried to put it on Cage. That's a shot. Cornell has the backup, and this tired Maryland defense has to dig in again.
Tell you, Maryland's midfielders are killing them in the clearing game. You got to work down, back to your defense, get the ball and run it out with confidence. Terps are all spread out, and their clearing has been brutal.
Connor Busick calls a timeout.
I don't love that timeout. I don't love that timeout. Maryland needs rest. Look at Maryland's players walking off the field. They can't even jog off the field right now. They are totally out of gas. And I think Busick just let them off the ropes.
It was 9-3 Maryland when this quarter began. And then Cornell caught fire.
Aiden Blake, been injured most of the season, capitalizes on the defensive miscue. Coyle to a front swinging Michael Long. He gets the pay dirt right in the middle of the field. And then Kelleher bombs from distance. Wertheim, fresh legs. Do they matter on Monday? That's an example. He runs by the Maryland defense like they're standing still.
This is unbelievable. If you told me one team would look one way in the fourth quarter and the other would look the other, one full of life, one gassed, because of the depth, I would have said unequivocally the team with the energy was Maryland. Not so fast. The Terps are gassed. The players on the sideline almost seem like they're in shock and disbelief with this run by Cornell. And Cornell, a team that has not used as many players, is full of life. Their bench is explosive. Their faithful feels it.
Maryland in the second half. Remember, it was 7-2 Terps at halftime. In the second half, 12 turnovers, 2 for 17 shooting.
An upset starts with belief. If you polled that Cornell sideline right now, belief is high. Belief is high. They know it. They can sense it. Maryland walking back out onto the field.
Quint, I think you were spot on too, because I ran out on the field right after that timeout. The Maryland players could barely walk to the huddle. They had them on the ropes.
The 9 goals by Maryland is season low. There's Piatelli. Toward the cage. Piatelli sneaks in and it trickles in. Wait a minute. He was in the crease. Cornell in a 10-man ride. The goalie's out of the cage. 3.5 to go. Again, Maryland has to get it across midfield. And they do before that shot clock hits 60. Long with a nice play. Pretzeling out of trouble. And more than anything right now, Clark, you get the sense Maryland just needs a long possession.
They need a long possession, and Bobby Benson, the offensive coordinator, is preaching to all of his players. Be smart with your angles in terms of how you approach if we do take a shot deep into a possession. Remember, they don't have any timeouts left. This is all about players making a decision or decisions to win a national championship and cap off a perfect season.
Field balance is critical if you're Maryland on any turnover. You want to make sure you have some midfielders at the top of the restraining box that can get back and deny transition.
Anthony DeMeo devoured. Cornell, another cause turnover. Bartolotto to Piatelli. Big Red looking to make it a 2-goal game. Piatelli, right hand, nothing on it. 17 saves for McNaney. You're going to need more than that to beat him, especially this weekend and in this tournament.
Wow, they had Logan Wisnauskas caught back on defense, and they settled for that maybe shot. That was a stinger. Ready for the double team now if you're Maryland. Ready for the double teaming for the Terps. Maintain field balance. Eyes up. Erlin looks like he's straying from the crease already.
Goalie out of the cage. Cornell pressing out. 3-goal lead for the Terps. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Donville looking for help. It's not there. Plays it back to Long. Long's got 3 helpers today. On a bounce to Wisnauskas. It hits the ground. Brennan there to retrieve. Shot clock below 20. Doria chasing Brennan. Erlin now retreats into the cage. Shot clock down to 10. Bounce shot over the cage. Shot clock at 7. And if you're Maryland now, you can set up your defense. Probably take the shot clock violation, dump it into the corner. And that's what Con will do. Less than a minute to go. Cornell down 3. Maryland running on legs that scream for mercy. 50 seconds. Piatelli, 45 seconds. Cornell's got to go. And Busick calls a timeout. 40 seconds left. Let's go back to the John Piatelli shot that was called off. It was a ball that trickled into the net. It was called a crease violation. We're going to take another look.
He goes airborne. He's not in the crease.
Airborne. Now the question is, where does his foot land before that ball comes out? Is the ball in the back of the net before his foot comes down? Ball's out. He's in midair. Quinn.
Well, look how slow the shot was, Anish, and really, the ball doesn't go in right away.
Does the ball go in before he lands in the crease? That's the question.
Okay, ball's not in yet. Ball's not in yet. Ball's not in yet. He's landed now. That view doesn't help us. This view should help. The shot was so slow. He's down now.
And it looks like it hits the back. It hits the back of McNaney. That's a great call.
Yeah.
It hits the pipe. Piatelli lands in the crease. It hits the back of McNaney, then trickled in once Piatelli was in the crease. That's a great call by the officials.
Really is. To see both there, to process that, and to play that out in slow motion is amazing for these officials.
Kark.
Time is of the essence. Quick pick on C.J. Kerr's man, Brett Makar, to see if they could get a quick shot and a score, but then they're dealing with Luke Weirman.
Wertheim sets the pick, shot to score. Piatelli, his 66th of the season, a new Cornell single-season record. They got that in 5 seconds. And Kark, you mentioned Weirman right now running on fumes as well.
He is. He's gassed. But that pick gave C.J. Kirst options. If they set it correctly, he could go to the rack. If they hedged, which Maryland did, Piatelli would find the seam. Down 2. This is why Luke Weirman's known as the best face-off man in college lacrosse, to ice it for the Terps. But can he do it? He's gassed.
It's redemption for Weirman as well after how last season ended. Weirman wins it to himself. Maryland again out of timeouts. They'll try to play keep away. 25 seconds. Wisnauskas, the Tewaaraton favorite. Maryland's all-time points leader. The Terps can taste it. Higgins to Fairman. The final 10 seconds. A season for the ages and a team for all time. It took every last ounce of turbo for this Maryland team. Be the best, right? They were better than best. Perfect. The 14th perfect season in the history of Division I men's lacrosse in the NCAA era. The first team to run the table since Virginia in 2006. They held out in the end. But this championship gives this team a place among the great teams in the history of college lacrosse. Kark.
Coach, what was it like coaching that fourth quarter with no timeouts?
Well, you know, obviously I'd like to have one back, but felt like we got caught one where Anthony was going to get doubled, and we just didn't have a lot of possession, so I burned the one on the third, and then the other one, we had 2 attackmen caught on. So, you know, would love to have had it, but honestly, we failed to clear so many times, we never really got a lot of chances to call it.
Last year, you were so close with this team. Logan McNaney, your goalie, he came back on this same stage to have 36 saves in championship weekend. How would you describe his position for your team?
He was great. I mean, this year we got such good play from Luke and obviously Logan. So now you got a great specialty situation right there that helps you get extra possessions. We needed them today. We were not great offensively. We grounded out. I thought our kids played hard. We just weren't sharp, but give Cornell a lot of credit. You got to give Connor and his staff and those kids, they played so hard. As an alum, I'm so proud of them. I think Cornell, all the alums, all the fans, all the students, so much to be proud of. You know, and I tip my hat to them.
You just mentioned you're an alum. You played at Cornell. You have Richie Moran's initials on your hat. How does he live in you today as a coach?
I try to think of all the great things that he did, and they're endless. And I try to live with his spirit, do the selfless things he did, impact people positively, show them I care about them, be tough on them, hold them accountable, but when they need you, you're there for them. Never let you settle.
What's it been like chasing perfection? The last college lacrosse team to be undefeated was 2006 Virginia. Now you rank with them.
You know, it's not something we really talk about or think about a lot. All I wanted to do was see these kids not crying this year. Last year to see the tears, you know, I feel so bad for guys like Nick Grill and Jared Bernhardt and all the seniors last year that didn't get this chance, but our guys were focused all year long, and I give them a lot of credit. The leadership, we had so many selfless guys. Sure, some talent, but the selflessness of this group, great role models for young people.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
John Tillman's second national championship as Maryland's head coach. Our Capital One player of the game is Logan McNaney. We gave him that honor on Saturday after the Princeton win. Quint, 36 saves on championship weekend. He was sublime this weekend and through this entire NCAA tournament.
And as that fourth quarter was falling apart, all the dreams, all the hopes, all the expectations, It was the lefty. He got very little support in the second half from his offense. Maryland was held scoreless for the last 26 minutes of this game. But McNaney wouldn't flinch. Focused, sharp, quick, showed no panic. I loved his clearing, evading this Cornell ride. And he was their MVP both on Saturday night and today.
He had to be the roadblock for the Cornell comeback. Maryland did not score over the last 27 minutes. McNaney stood tall. The Terrapins go undefeated, and they have their title, holding off Cornell 9-7. Stay with us. Plenty more reaction from East Hartford.